And Ben Avery. This is Strangers and Aliens. And for this episode, I'm doing kind of a follow-up to the Christmas episode where I talked about the Ed Emerschwiller four-armed Santa Claus science fiction artwork on the pulp, the Galaxy Science Fiction pulp sci-fi magazine covers. And if you haven't watched that, check it out because it's got some cool sci-fi art that I love and that just has engaged my imagination. And I love pulling it out every year. What I'm going to talk about today is from Astojnding Science Fiction, which is a pulp sci-fi magazine that became Analog, which you might be more familiar with Analog because they actually still publish Analog, that pulp magazine. But when it was Astojnding, which is what they started out as, was Astojnding, and then it became Astojnding Science Fiction. And I found this artwork because I was looking for art for our podcast art. I've said the word art quite a few times, but for our podcast art, I was looking for something maybe public domain that we could use that would engage the imagination and kind of reflect what we wanted to do with the podcast. And what I found when I found this cover of Astojnding Science Fiction is something that really engaged me. It's one of my favorite works of sci-fi art of all times. And I love sci-fi art. I love looking at covers. I do literally buy sometimes when they're cheap, books because I judged it by its cover because it has a really cool, engaging cover, especially when you're talking about some like smaller paperbacks, the Ace paperbacks and things like that, where it's just old sci-fi stuff. Also, sci-fi pulp magazine covers. Now, Astojnding Science Fiction magazine didn't do what Galaxy Sci-Fi magazine did when they did all of their that Santa Claus series that Ed Emerschwiller did for them, but they did do a round of Christmas covers in the 50s, starting with this one. This was their first Christmas cover, and it's just it's kind of interesting one. It reminds me of that one Star Trek episode that dealt with overpopulation and where they made a fake Enterprise and they like tricked Captain Kirk to be in there. But then you have this kid right here who's kind of sitting by the tree. He's got a rocket, and so you kind of get I get the impression that he's imagining another, a better world, a better life, or whatever. And then that was the January 1954 issue. The January 1955 issue, again, was specifically a Christmas cover. I adore this cover. You got the star, you got the tree, and you've got the reflection of all the different things in the tree. Specifically, a reflection of what looks to be a space colony. And I think this is just a wonderful cover and just lovely little Christmas with a sci-fi twist. In 1958, Kelly Frias did this cover, just some random space guy, probably on a spaceship. Maybe he's down in engineering, and he may not be quite so random as he looks. I think that this might have been a recurring cover character. I'm not sure, but he's just stuffing stockings, putting toys in there, and I don't know much about the story behind that. I have not read the issue to know if it goes along with anything in the issue. Unfortunately, Astojnding, a lot of their cover with attributions don't say a name for the cover, and so this one it has the name of who did it, but it doesn't have the name of what the cover is meant to be. But that was 1958. You notice we skipped 2 years in there, but we'll come back to that. And then the same thing for this one where they did another cover. The cover literally has Merry Christmas as a title. There is no story called Merry Christmas in the book. There is a story called Deadlock, and I do remember reading that story from this magazine a long time ago, and it may have been connected to what the action here is, but basically you got the two guys fighting, and there is a nativity set nearby. So there, and Merry Christmas, peace on earth. So those are some of the Astojnding Christmas covers that they had, but this is the cover here. This cover, I made it my lock screen on my phone. I actually got an issue of this that was in really bad condition, but except for the cover, and I took the cover off and I framed it and put it up. And I'm going to do an unboxing of this right now. I have this. This is airmail from where did it come from here? Portishead near Bristol in England. Okay, and it is the British version of this issue of Astojnding Science Fiction, which is slightly different. I'm going to do an unboxing of that real quick here in a moment. But this cover right here, I love it so much. And when you look at it and you kind of stare at it, it really does become like a I mean, it's a Christmas story. There's a Christmas vibe to it. You got a star there, and you've got three men staring at it. It's like the Three Kings. And this did inspire my story in my anthology, Following Yonder Star, which all the stories that I have in my anthology so far take place in the Slipstream universe with Ghosts of the Future. And one of the reasons why I want to show you all the covers of, here's Ghosts of the Future. You got a guy standing on rocks, looking into space. And then you have Following Yonder Star, the artwork where I got permission to use this artwork. You got a guy standing on rocks and he's looking at a tree and looking at a star. There's a shooting star off in the distance, and A Time for Everything. It was kind of funny when I realized, I kind of have a theme going. A guy standing on a rock, kind of looking at a time portal. There is no actual guy standing on rocks looking at a time portal in the book. Same with this. There is no guy actually standing looking at a tree. And then this is the Parabolic Orbits cover by Jeff Slemons, where you got a guy standing on rocks and he's looking at basically at a UFO. I would have used this cover for the cover of Following Yonder Star if I could have made sure I could get permission. I don't think it's public domain, and we did use some elements of it in some of our podcast artwork. Actually, Jeff Slemons did some artwork for us. He's just amazing. I mean, can we just appreciate the cover that he did here, this painted cover? I mean, if you're going to judge a book by its cover, this book is a pretty awesome book. But that's if you judge it by its cover and not by the contents within. So what's cool about the British version, and why I wanted to get the British version, and I can't wait to open it up, although I have waited a little bit because I wanted to do it on an episode. And I want to see if the contents match what the contents of the American version are, but I'm going to do that off camera. But what's cool about it is it actually takes up the whole cover. And so like they have the trade dress on this one, but the reason I wanted to get that British version was because I wanted to get the version that has more to it. So I'm going to go ahead and open it right now. I really hope it's in good condition. We'll see. It came airmail from the UK. It's not opening up very easily here. I don't know if I'm going to speed this up or not, but hopefully I'm not going to pull it out and be really, really disappointed by the condition it's in. But here it is. Oh, I got to make sure I'm careful how I show this because it does have the address there on the inside as well. But yeah, well, you can smell that old paper smell. But like I said, this is from 1956. I mean, we're talking 70 years ago. And so there it is. It's actually it's the June issue, but it's if you look at them side by side, the size is just about the same, but it's slightly different. Now, I didn't realize that. I didn't look closely enough to realize this is just them. They're more, there's more stars, and the stars are brighter, bigger, so to speak. The cover definitely feels more green, but it's from June, and there is no star. I think that this may have been adjusted for the American version. They did this specifically to have kind of a Christmassy cover, and then the British version here from June of 1956 is adjusted to be not Christmassy. I find that fascinating. And I also find it interesting that I have seen this British version so many times and never noticed that it was different, that the star is not there. The other thing I would notice, and maybe this helps with the contents, a lot of the interior here for the American version is done in that double column, and it's mostly single column with the British version. And so it might have most of the same stuff, but it is definitely missing an essay that the American version had. And yeah, and then here's an ad for Scientology, the science of life, there in the back. But it's the address that you would write to get information is in the UK, whereas in the back of the American version, yeah, Scientology is not in there. So the ads would definitely be different, and that's no surprise. But interesting, the contents is basically the same but formatted differently, and then that cover, wow, I find that fascinating and slightly disappointing because I love the artwork so much, because they're just looking upward, and they're looking at that star, and yeah, but here they're just kind of it's just kind of spacey. And so it does take away for me a little bit of the meaning of the artwork, where you've taken out that star, that yonder star that they're following. And obviously this was not inspired by that, but I liked this because of that. Like, this cover here is the reason why I really wanted to use the cover for Following Yonder Star, which I had to contact the artist and get permission to use this, which he was very gracious and gave us permission to use it. But yeah, so all that to say, shameless plug, buy Following Yonder Star. It has sci-fi Christmas stories. All the stories are inspired by Christmas, about Christmas. Yeah, this artwork right here is a big part of the foundation of the podcast, and also inspiring me to write a story called We Three Kings, which is about three people in space going after a star. And so it's not three humans, though. It's a human and an alien and a robot, and those are the three kings of my story. But it was absolutely inspired by this cover here. So yeah, all that to say, again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for letting me geek out about something that I really, really love. And until next time, God bless us, everyone, and Godspeed.